Hello, everybody. Today we are talking about AI. Now, uh, AI isn't just hype anymore. It's quickly becoming one of the most powerful tools in a product maker's toolkit. But how do you move beyond experimenting with ChatGPT prompts and actually build automations that save time, scale your support, even unlock new revenue? That's exactly what we're exploring today on WP Product Talk.
This is WP Product Talk, a place where every week we bring you insights in product marketing, business management and growth, customer experience, product development, and more. It's your go-to podcast for WordPress product owners by WordPress product owners. And now, enjoy the show.
Hello, I'm Zack Katz from GravityKit, and today we're talking about AI, and that's why we've invited Jack Arturo today. Jack, welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Hey, Zach, thanks.
So tell the world a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name is Jack. I've been developing software since I was 12 years old, so that's most of my life. I started in WordPress probably about 16 or 18 years ago. And for the last 12 years, I've been running my company, Very Good Plugins, and we're most known for WP Fusion, which is an integration tool between all of your WordPress plugins. We support over 100, and your CRM or email marketing system, for example, HubSpot, MailChimp, Salesforce. We go from enterprise all the way down to like really basic free systems. We support self-hosted platforms like Fluent CRM and Groundhog. So that's our bread and butter. We have a team of 8 people working on that. And I'm really lucky that that's freed up a lot of my time to work on other projects. So I'm launching a SaaS product in the AI space called Echo Dash. And now with these new tools we're going to talk about today, I've been releasing at least one free plugin a week for the open source community. I scratched a lot of my itches, and now I'm just taking, if somebody wants something, I just whip it up in 30 minutes and give it away for free. So Very Good Plugins is really living up to the name. I think by the end of this year, we'll probably have dozens or maybe even hundreds of them. So that's been really, really fun.
It's been so cool watching you do this.
Thanks.
We're in a mastermind Slack together, which is great. We have been for
6
years.
years now, 7 years.
I guess, yeah.
It's also a big part of my adult life now.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Which is wonderful. And then you're also on X, right? Like talking about this stuff, and you've been doing so much so quickly that it's hard to keep up.
I can't even keep track.
And so we're going to get into it. We're going to dive into it. But first, I want to ask you, Jack, why is this an important topic for WordPress product owners?
Well, I can talk about for me, and I think it applies to a lot of product owners, maybe yourself included, working on the same code base for 12 years. It makes us a lot of money. We make almost $1 million a year off of it. Our customers love it. I'm happy that we work on it, but it's frustrating and time consuming. And I can't possibly fix all the mistakes I made when I was 25.
Nobody can.
Maybe now I can. That just occurred to me. I'll do that later this evening. But you know, it just became kind of a drag, and I didn't look forward to going to work each day. And I mean, you and I have had this conversation for years. It's like, I got to get up and fix that support ticket that nobody else understood, or I have to write a blog post because I haven't had any social engagement this week, and hiring people is difficult, and then spending time training them. And then, you know, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. So what I really love doing is building software that solves problems. And what I ended up doing was a lot of accounting and legal and HR. And I really started to loathe it. And just in the last few months, but especially in the last, since Friday, I think it's been intense. Yeah. I would say like I've kind of reached an inflection point where I love work again. Like I wake up and I just dive right in. My wife is like, "You're working too much." And I'm like, this is the the most exciting thing I've been part of in a long time. I love this. Like, I'm happy. I broke my ankle in a horrible way about a month ago. So part of what got me started on this has been being mostly confined to bed. And, when I'm working on this, I don't feel any pain. I'm like fully, the flow state you get in, you're just in the computer, like your brain is code. You don't feel your body kind of. So that's been nice. So that's kind of my journey, is like sort of rediscovering my passion for software development and open source products, and having time to re-engage with the community, which I never had time before, because I was just trying to do the minimum to keep the development and support pipeline going. It's been a big transformation for me.
Yeah, and you make a good point, and I've had more of this urge than I have in a long time, where when you're manually doing a bunch of stuff and you're manually creating GitHub issues, and you're taking a support ticket and manually converting it into a GitHub issue, that requires a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then fixing the bug, that requires a lot of time.
Yeah. Even if you know exactly what it is, you have
even if you know exactly what it is, where the code is,
pull the
how to
code, you
fix
have
it.
to test it and confirm it. You can't send out something that's not confirmed, and that's 30 minutes.
It's 30 minutes if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. If you know what it is, yeah.
Yeah, and instead you can have a background process building a plugin that you're going to share with the community while you're having another system automate that whole process.
I have a couple systems building plugins right now because I knew I would be occupied as well.
Right. So let's dive in, Jack. Like, what have you been doing?
I guess, would you like to start as kind of like the timeline? Because we have our AI channel in our Slack group, which is, we kind of seen the journey. I guess I could start with the first plugins I created a few months ago, and kind of how I started using AI, or
maybe instead of that, like, maybe describe some of the process, like, because the output is a lot of code, a lot of plugins, a lot of things that help you help others.
Yeah.
But how do you get to that output? Like, can you kind of break down, what are we looking at in terms of how the code, all these agents that you have running in the background, what are we talking about when we're talking about the agents?
Sure. So my tool set at the moment is ChatGPT, of course, which everybody's familiar with, and which I've used exclusively up until now. And they would release an update and I would be frustrated with it. And it can't really code, but it helps a lot with my personal life, especially since my injury. I'm in Germany, so interpreting doctor's reports in German and x-rays, it's good for that. But it didn't help a lot with software development. I started then using Claude Code, which I think you're using as well. Yeah. And that's a tool that runs in the terminal, so it's a little more technical, but quite powerful. And then I'm also using Cursor, which is it's a sort of a fancy text editor for writing software projects. It's inspired by Visual Studio Code, which is quite popular. I think it's developed by Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's AI integrated and AI powered. So you can, the agents and models that you work with are optimized for working on your code base. So I was using that maybe since a year ago, and that sped things up a lot. And then since Friday, I've now integrated Claude Code Desktop. And that, I can't believe I didn't try this 6 months ago.
Claude Desktop.
Oh, sorry, Claude Desktop. Yeah. And now I'm wondering, the people who did integrate this 6 months ago, what have they accomplished? Like, I'm picturing Sam Altman, like, sitting in a room connected to wires in his brain, like attending virtual meetings 10 at a time. Like, when he appears before Congress, is that really him? I feel like I've seen a taste of what's possible. And now I'm wondering, the people who have access to the full models, or even the people who've been doing this for longer than 5 days, what are they capable of?
Right.
So that's where I'm at in the journey. And those are the kind of the four main tools that I'm using.
Okay. Can we take a look at one of your processes? Like, what, I know you've prepared a few different things that,
Sure.
Yeah.
So a simple one would be, do you want to see how I prepared for this show?
Let's do it.
Okay.
And I'm going to be narrating because people listen to the show as well.
Questions and yeah, definitely. So let's just share my screen. Do the entire screen. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So a big thing that's changed in the last 5 days, it used to be we would create products or processes internally and they worked, but it's just too much work to make it consumable by the public or even to publish a README or take screenshots. And so a lot of the stuff we made just stayed internal. But now for everything that I work on, it automatically gets a GitHub repo. And as it changes over time, Git is a system, it's called version control. So it's basically like when you edit a Google Doc and you see a history of your changes. It's like that, but for groups of text files or code. I know I have a friend who's using it to write his novel, but mostly used for code. So everything I create now becomes a GitHub repository. So I've published this one for free with all of the resources we'll talk about in the show. Well, Claude published it.
And we're looking at a GitHub repo right now with the title, From Manual to Magical, How We Automated Our WordPress Support Pipeline with AI.
And I did this in about the 15 minutes before you and I got on before the show. So anyway, so how I kind of started this, an hour and a half ago, I just opened up Claude Desktop, which is previously I thought it was just the Claude chat app, kind of like ChatGPT from a website, but like in a little window. But it's completely different. So I opened the Claude Desktop app and I've got a little project here for the show prep. And I just said, the show is starting soon. Can you do a deep dive on WP Product Talk? I let it know where the project is that we're working on. I said, can you index that and create a README for the show viewers? So then it did that and created this with also, it went ahead and took these screenshots of the products I'm going to discuss. It opened the Chrome extensions. It did everything we needed to get a good screenshot. And it published that for me in the background while I was doing my hair. You'll notice here I say think hard. Zach, you introduced me to that. These are
think hard. So, yeah, this is like, if we often end with best advice. If you're using Claude, use ultra think is their deepest. Think hard is like a medium thinking.
Yep.
But use the keyword ultra think and you're going to have it work a lot harder on your problem. And that's a great way
I think you can do hard, think hard, and ultra think. And I also like to, I feel like I get better responses when I say, take your time on this, especially when I'm doing multiple tool calls. I don't know if there's any evidence for that, but, and then I just pasted in our conversation from Slack. It actually has access to our whole Slack history. So it uses that as well, but I wanted to highlight this and just some bullet points I'd made about the show. So the big difference with Claude Desktop, which has been a game changer for me, is that because it runs on your computer, you can control the data sources that it uses. So for anyone who's used ChatGPT, you can know that it could search the web somewhat recently, and now I think it can connect to your GitHub.
Jack, can you maximize that screen and maybe zoom in a little bit so we can see the different tool calls?
The Claude, yeah, definitely. Let's do that. And then we can do, actually, here, I gotta do one. This is another thing I can talk about later, my new window manager that Claude set up for me. Anyway, so tool calls they use a system called MCP, which is called a Model Context Protocol. And it's relatively new. It was developed by Anthropic, which is the company that makes Claude. Anthropic is actually a spin-off from OpenAI, from researchers and engineers who felt like OpenAI wasn't being responsible with their data and they were going after money too much, which I like. And I think it's a superior product, especially for developers, but we can get into that later. So these things basically say I'm allowing Claude, the agent, to access kind of like an API if you're a developer, but specific to these kinds of large language models. It can call certain tools, and the tools run very specific processes to give it output. So I have a memory system hooked up. So we start by looking at my memories. And
can you zoom in to make the text bigger?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's do that. How's that looking?
Yeah, that's good. And we're looking at a Claude Code window right now, and there's a tool call that says search memories.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, there are no memories found for this one. It's relatively recent. So then it's loading the project directory, and oh, I see. I asked it to read my blog post from earlier, and let's see, I guess it's not showing the full response, but basically it went to my website and read the whole blog post and it understands it.
And the blog post was, we built 4 tools to fix our support pipeline, and you can have them for free.
Yep. I mentioned the directory I'm using to work on this, and it's...
So this is connecting to your it's connected to the internet, and it's also connecting to your own computer files on your computer.
Exactly. It's doing research on WP Product Talk, and it's loading all of these URLs, and then doing the same thing it did on my blog to understand them. It's figuring out the details of this podcast. It's a weekly podcast focused on product owners. The hosts rotate, but include Matt Cromwell, Katie Keith, Amber Hines, and yourself, Zach. In the show notes, I mentioned these GitHub repositories. It's loaded them and understands everything, all of the code in it. The cool thing about Claude and Anthropic's model or their new technology is the amount of text that it can think about at the same time is equivalent to about 150,000 words. By comparison, I think even a year ago, that was maybe 10,000 words. It's exponentially grown. So it can read 20 websites, all the code I've ever written, my writing style, basically a full novel, and understand that in about a minute. Anyway, great. So then we're looking up some more info about you specifically. So it's read your blog. It's read some interviews with you to understand you a little bit better, your WordPress.org profile, some WP Product Talk interviews, it parsed your LinkedIn. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. It synthesizes all this. And then I created a memory system. If we have time, we can get into that. But it's now added all of this to permanent memory, which syncs across not just this desktop app, but the cursor, which I use for development, and now also my phone and the web interfaces, and actually any of these tools. So ChatGPT can use the memory. Google's Gemini can use the memory.
I would like to get into that.
Yeah. A big part of this process for me is I've seen a lot of product founders over the last year who are excited about these tools, and they get really deep into a new feature, and they do stuff like this. They spend a day or two setting it up, and it's really powerful. But then, for example, then ChatGPT becomes not cool again, and they switch to Anthropic, and they have to start everything all over. So from the beginning, everything that I'm doing is platform agnostic. If a new tool comes out, I don't know, DeepSeek out of China, I can just instantly switch all of this stuff now. So it was a lot of work to set up, but it's not tied to any one platform. So anyway, this is going into memory, which now is permanent across basically all of my tools that I might want to use in the future. I can show you sort of briefly if I can find it.
And so Jack's screen with Claude goes through all these steps, all these tool calls, and then in the output, it says WP Product Talk, August 2025, complete show notes. And that generated show notes that then Jack shared with me in advance. And that's pushed to GitHub, right? Those are the show notes that.
Yeah, and it did that automatically. It did the push to GitHub. I can. Let's see. Fine. Anyway, so the memories all exist in the cloud, and there's a website I can go to manage them and edit them and review them. So right, this is the output. It's quite long, but we can just sort of scroll through. So this is the internal output for my information. And then it also created a summarized output to share with Zach, and another output that we can publish publicly.
One of the problems that I've had with AI, and I think a lot of people have this problem, is the amount of content it creates and the amount of the lack of understanding that I have about all the content that it creates sometimes when I ask it
Yeah.
to review and analyze code and it creates a markdown file with like, here's my plan for how to do what you asked me to do. And
Yeah.
I scroll through and it looks fine, but then like if I ask it to actually implement it, sometimes it has errors. How are you doing error checking in terms of making sure that what it outputs is what you expected?
Right. So that's a great question. And that's part of our GitHub flow that I just published the blog post about on our WP Fusion site. A key for me has been not just trusting the output of one interaction or one model. For our development pipeline, we use Claude here on my computer to develop new features. And then when we send it into the cloud, a different Claude model that's trained on fixing bugs runs through automated testing and unit testing on our code. And it also does user interface testing. So Claude on GitHub will open up a browser and navigate through our plugin settings and make sure all the clicks work as expected, that it's accessibility compatible, that it works for people with languages that read from right to left, all of this stuff. And then that agent will provide a summary criticizing the first agent. And at the moment, we review those manually, but in theory, we could have the first agent step back in and say, oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me go and fix those points. So that's been a big game changer.
Right. And so this is all really cool.
Yeah.
And I still don't have any idea how you've actually set this up.
Right. So I think the Claude desktop is the most accessible kind of for the end user. It still requires a little bit more technical knowledge, but I can show what that looks like in the app at least.
Yeah.
So we can go to the settings over here, and we'll go to even upgrading to the max plan, which is $200 a month. And I thought it was expensive, but it's worth it.
It really is. I'm on the max plan as well.
So the desktop app on the web, you can use 4 or 5 things. This is similar to ChatGPT. These are very mainstream: Google Drive, email search, calendar, and GitHub. But on the desktop app, you can connect to local data sources, which A, is a lot faster, and B, lets you customize the behavior or even create your own. So most of my time over the last few days has been setting up and integrating these and getting the kind of outputs that I want that are usable. But again, now that it's set up, I can use it for indefinitely in theory.
And we're currently looking at the Claude desktop app settings screen with the connectors tab activated. And we're seeing things like Google Calendar, Gmail, GitHub, Stripe, Apple Reminder. And then like those are all the built-in ones. And then seems like Jack has added a bunch more.
Yeah, below Stripe. So Apple Reminders was a big one for me and took some time to set up. I know there are better Reminders apps. I think
I use Reminders app by Apple, yeah.
You do? Yeah. It works. It syncs everywhere.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of my personal life in there, like my grocery shopping list and this my movies I want to watch and TV shows. So I wanted to get that integrated. And it's a little bit tricky because of Apple's privacy rules, but that's working. Brave, it can control my browser. Browser MCP is a development tool for doing diagnostics in the browser. Again, I have a blog post and a list of these with more description and kind of the top 5. But Context 7, if you mention it in a chat, it will force the chat to go look up the latest API or developer documentation about the subject and then use that.
And Context 7 has, Mark Westgard says, next step, virtual Jack. I think that is the next step.
Hey, Mark, welcome.
And Tindaro says, hi, Jack. Context 7, for those who aren't aware, is like, so MCPs allow integrating with a bunch of different stuff, or using it as a lookup, like a search and returning the documentation for how to do something. Context 7 is one entry point where you can say, use Context 7, and Context 7 will then fork off and say like, okay, you're asking me about Tailwind CSS. I know all about Tailwind CSS. you're asking me about Bootstrap. I know all about Bootstrap. It uses the context of your request to look up the correct documentation, so you can use that one entry point as the solution for how to interact with all this different code bases.
Exactly. So another thing is, for each of these, when you click on them, this is the name of the tool, that each tool has things that it can do.
So the Apple Reminders tool,
Yeah.
or Apple Reminders MCP, has different tools.
Exactly. So, for example, creating reminders, listing existing ones, deleting them, moving them. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen this before. I'll read that later. But so much to learn. But for each one, I need to, for privacy reasons, grant specific explicit permission in Claude for it to use it. So for this, I've just said, for creating reminders, check with me. But I'm going to allow it to list my existing ones, move them, and list all the lists without checking. So now it can do that in the background, like that tool call, those two calls I showed earlier when I was prepping for the show. All those run unsupervised, so I don't have to say, yes, it's okay to load my website. So we can do this for all of them, but that's an example. There's a few, so I'll just point out the highlights. I'm aware of the time already. File system lets it read and update files on my computer. FreeScout we use for support tickets, so we can get tickets, add notes, assign, update tickets, understand the customer's context and history with us. Our Slack mastermind, which is where Zach and I hang out, we're allowed to send messages to people directly, read conversation history for context, all this, which is very helpful.
And there is a working theory that you are using Claude to communicate with us.
Sometimes. Sometimes. I do approve it. I approve it. Open memory, I mentioned earlier. I just added that on Monday. So that's bringing in our memory bank. Let's see. Well.
And where do these MCPs get added? Like, what are we looking at in terms of how does this actually work?
Right.
Like, could you show people what that means when you add MCPs? Like, how do you add an MCP to Claude? Where do you have these agents living?
Oh, it's windy here. Yes, right. So these MCPs, well, my WhatsApp connection is great. I get a morning summary of my messages. And these two let me update and publish blog posts. So the MCPs live in a configuration file. So I'll bring up our website because it's a little bit less, or our GitHub repo because it's a little less technical, and we can just look at that. So let's see, we can switch over here.
And for those of you who are listening and you're like, this is just way beyond me, it is overwhelming. Jack is overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. Like, we're all overwhelmed. You're not alone in feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly. My goal with all of this is ideally to open source everything that I'm learning. And I've got processes in place that when I add something, it now automatically updates this GitHub repository with like detailed testing and setup instructions. So I'm hoping like what I'm figuring out here can be used by people who aren't as technical. Oh, this is what I mentioned earlier. So these are my memories. So we have 12 now since yesterday. But as I work on stuff, it shows which app it came from, Claude versus Cursor. And
we're looking at app.openmemory.dev, the dashboard there. And is this stored? Like, what is this? Is it actually open? Is it connected to a GitHub repo? Like, or is it a service that you're paying for?
It is free for now while I test it out. It's a cloud service, so data privacy is a concern.
Yeah.
It's just connected to the agents that I'm using. So it would be Claude Desktop or Cursor, or if I use ChatGPT. But my goal eventually would be to move everything I'm doing off of my computer and into a cloud server. where I can access it on any device, and it can also message me from the cloud. And in that case, I can run this. It's open source, so I can install that on the server, and then it's free and instant. So
Nice.
yeah, so we can do. Right. So how did we set up the tools? I think well, even that's a little technical, but, and also this is good because it doesn't, I haven't put that one in there.
We're looking at GitHub right now where Jack's going to our repo. Showing very good plugins / Claude -automation -hub.
It's actually good I didn't show you the one on my computer because it has all my secret keys, my API credentials for all of my apps. I have to
don't want to
remind myself that we're sharing all this. So this is also publicly available, and anyone can copy what I'm doing. This is the one I update every day. And this includes all my configuration files, my MCPs. These files look scary because they look like code, but if you just click on it, you get a nice, mostly readable, copy and pastable set of instructions on how to implement it. So when we talk about how to configure Claude Desktop, we can look at this file,
which is Claude _desktop_config -example.json.
Yep. And basically this just defines what the MC.
Can you zoom in there?
Are. Sorry? Oh, zoom in. Yeah, of course. My screen's really big. I forget sometimes.
So we have a question from Idle Herb. Great stuff, Jack. Is Claude Desktop related to Claude Code? Can they share memories?
Yes. Yes and no. Claude Code, the way that each of these tools, the way they use Anthropic services or Claude services are optimized for that specific app. So Claude Code writes better code. But other than that, I'm sharing this configuration across Claude Desktop, Claude Code, and Cursor, which we use for development. In the future, if I add any other API apps, this is now universal, or AI apps, this is now universal standard, and they can all use everything that I add automatically. Again, took a little bit of setup, but worth it.
Yeah.
These are all the tools I showed you earlier, Free Scout. A lot of these are actually, even with this one, we open source that in the cloud on what's called the Node package repository. So you don't have to set this configuration file. You would type a single line into your terminal, which we have here, and it will automatically load this from our public code, install it for you, and configure it. So it's not so scary.
Right. And so a lot of these services require usernames and passwords and secrets and things like that. How this is a really important thing for people to get right while they're playing around with this stuff, because it's really easy to share your keys accidentally, publish them in a GitHub repo. There are correct ways to do this, and there are incorrect ways to do this.
Yes.
One of the most important things to learn is environment variables and how to set them and how to ignore them from being committed to your GitHub repository.
Yeah.
Like, make sure that you're not publishing the settings. And like MCPs, you might, if you're looking at the screen, the Free Scout or the WordPress MCP has WordPress API URL, username, and password.
That's dangerous.
That's dangerous. So what you would do is you would set those on your local, on your computer. You would set those in a separate file, or hard code them in the environment variables of your Claude Desktop configuration.
Yeah, and I made that mistake in the beginning because I was so excited about sharing everything. I had Claude auto-publishing it, and I did publish some, and it's not easy to delete that data off of GitHub. So I had to then go in and change all the usernames and passwords, and that took some time.
Right.
To solve that, I've added an instruction that it should never publish that kind of thing without checking with me. But also for this project, because I want to share everything we're doing in real time, these are my real configuration files, but I have, you're right, a .env file, an environment file that lives in here that doesn't go on GitHub. So this is my real configuration, but when I run it, this stuff is replaced by the secure credentials on my computer.
Right. And when you say you told it to never do this again, don't share my stuff.
Yeah.
Where did you tell it to do that?
Right. So we can get into, so this is Claude Desktop, which is kind of let's bring in our information over the internet and create deep analysis of your relationships with people, like I was sending you yesterday. So we move over to the development environment. That's via Claude Code, and that looks like this.
And can you increase the text size on this as well?
Yes, I'm just going to start a new
And
session.
it looks like you're using Warp as well. So terminal, oh boy, command line interface is how Claude Code works. It uses a prompt on your computer, and you type in text, and it responds with text. Terminal is the built-in Mac app that is the command line interface for your Apple computer. There's also a application called Warp, which Jack and I both apparently use. That is just another way to access the command line on your computer, which is to give your computer direct commands for it to run code or do processes. So Claude Code is a command line application that you start by typing the word Claude after you install it.
And to add to that, Warp is also an AI-powered terminal. So if you don't know how to use terminal commands, you can just ask the AI.
Yeah, you can just type in install Claude, and it'll figure out how to install Claude, and then you can write Claude, and then it'll work.
Because I'm a developer for a long time, and I get confused in the terminal especially with Git stuff. So Warp has been helpful with that.
Same here.
I accidentally sent my WordPress password to GitHub. Can you fix it? And Warp will do that kind of thing. So that's nice.
And you can do things in Warp like once you install a command line tool like FFmpeg, which is a way to encode video and audio. You can just type in convert this MP3, which I'm going to be doing after our call today. I'm going to say convert this into 160 kilohertz mono MP3, and it will do it. It'll create it'll create the conversion script for me and do it for me instead of having to remember how to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you typed Claude into Warp.
Exactly. Yep.
And I see welcome to Claude Code.
Yep. And we're inside WP Fusion now.
And by inside WP Fusion, the terminal was pointed at the folder on your computer called WP Fusion, which is where your plugin lives on your computer.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Claude has built-in commands, which you can access by putting a / key in. So we'll do that. And to look at, we want to look at the configuration files basically. And let's see, that's going to be, actually, let's look at permissions. Yeah. So, right. Okay. I don't usually do this via the thing. Anyway, Claude Code can have access to my memories, and also what it does is it uses a file called claude.md, which is just an instructions file in your workspace. I can show you what that looks like. And it tells Claude what it should and shouldn't do when it's working on your projects. So we can go to that.
Right, like you can add a file, you can edit a file, but don't ever delete a file.
Right,
and
exactly.
It will it will always ask permission before it does it if you don't have it in the list of things that it is allowed to do.
And there's a way to set that up globally too, but I'm not sure how to show it without showing credentials. Yeah. So, okay. So anyway, for WP Fusion,
can you zoom in as well?
Yeah, let's do that. My eyesight is very good.
Congratulations.
How's that looking?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Bigger again, please.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do that. We can close this. So there are two ways to work with this. For one, that configuration file I shared earlier that works with all all of Claude. You can also do that per project. If you want like unique capabilities or rules per project. This tells Claude specifically for WP Fusion what it's allowed to do and not do. So it can edit files, write to files. PHP, these things are automated testing, and it's allowed to update our documentation. It's not allowed to take over the system, delete anything, or format my hard disk. I've seen some horror stories about this on Reddit, so we want to be careful with that. And then we can look at the so this file.
And Jack is opening up a couple markdown files.
Yeah. When you first start Claude, it will prompt you to generate this for your project, and it will scan all of your files. It takes a while, and then it creates this document for itself to teach itself how to work with your specific plugin or even like your book you're writing or anything you're doing. So it again is quite long. I found that it's helpful with Claude to use these are called XML tags, and it's how Claude was trained, and it lets Claude know what's important and what isn't. These are the most important things to follow. Never
so when you're starting the example of what you want, like a system, wrapping text in blocks that say this, start of critical note, end of critical note.
Yep.
Is a good way to structure things for Claude. ChatGPT is trained in a different setup, so that's not how you necessarily want to interact with ChatGPT.
Yeah, and again, you don't have to understand this. You can just ask for it. Of XML tag.
So Jack is typing into Cursor, which is the development environment that has its own AI, kind of like Warp.
Yeah.
Can you evaluate my use of XML tags for Claude code instructions in this file based on the latest Anthropic docs? Use context 7. So we talked about context 7 before as the interface that knows all these other docs, so you don't have to keep updated with all the docs. And then now you're asking it to review your code, use that MCP to look up the right way to do it, analyze whether you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, and I like this looks complicated, but I didn't write any of this. I don't understand how the XML tags work. I just asked for it, and if we weren't recording right now, I would push a button on my computer and just speak into it, and it would do this for me. So it's really non-technical. Our support team lead, who knows our product very well, but is not a developer, has now been creating new features and fixing bugs using these tools in the cloud, just with a one-click fix button in GitHub, and it works. He's really happy because he can actually build things.
And a lot of what is required for that to be successful is having the setup where you have automated tests that are running to make sure things don't break. You have documentation generated that makes sure that those are updated.
And multiple levels of review. You're using CodeRabbit as well?
Yeah.
So that's another tool that then checks everything after Claude does. And that lets the support rep know the areas to test, which are important, or things that might go wrong, and also things that might or might not work. So that's been very helpful. By the time that I see the code, I see a bunch of green check marks knowing that everything is passed and I don't have to test anything. And I still do, but
yeah, if an integration breaks, then you'll see a red check mark or red X instead of a green check mark, and you'll know that something's wrong and needs to be fixed.
So while we're talking about that, Claude over here said, I'm doing this well, but it would like to make these changes. Oh, that's interesting. So actually the tag should be indented. If I wanted to, I could one-click make all these changes and improve the way Claude Code works with it. So this is letting it know how the files are structured in the plugin, the kind of a template for the way we write our code, the way that we document things, which is very important. Even more so than ever, AIs read and understand documentation. So our code already had a lot of documentation, but that's increased significantly because it helps them work faster.
Right.
Our integrations. These are processes for developing new features based on the type of feature, integrating with a new CRM or creating a new integration with another WordPress plugin. These are tasks that we use often, and it tells them how to do them. This is how we test everything. This is what we consider for performance. These are the security requirements, which are very important for WordPress. We get these off of the WordPress documentation. And some common issues down here, which is missing formatting. So that's how we instruct Claude how to work with that project.
Right. And if there are multiple, like GravityKit, we have a ton of different products, and some of them, like, they've been developed over the course of 11 years. So some of the coding standards have changed over time, and like some of the naming conventions that we've used have changed over time. So having one of these per plugin lets the AI know, hey, when I'm working on this plugin, this is the way I should deal with this code base. And if I'm working on this other plugin, these are the rules that I should follow in this other code.
And even since last week, like I mentioned earlier, maintaining this old code is frustrating sometimes because Claude can now fit a whole novel into the context of one conversation. I asked it to start, just go through every file. I think we have about 1,000 of them, and some of them are a few thousand lines long. And just write documentation following our style. Put the explain what each function does, and for every filter, explain to other developers how they can use it. And it ran for maybe about 40 minutes. It was a big job, but it did it all perfectly. So that was nice.
Yeah, I've had mixed success with that. Like it doesn't always understand the intention of the functionality that you write. Like, I asked it to write up, for example, documentation on a new feature I was building, and think about like each step for how it would work and how the user would go ahead and implement it. And it made up some stuff that as to like why people might want to use it or how it could be used. So it does require some manual review, but that's where QA, we're finding at GravityKit, is becoming more important, including documentation. But QA, to make sure that everything that it says it can do, it does, and everything and nothing like, and then the things that it can't do aren't being lied about by our documentation.
Exactly. That also, I think, comes down to the context window, which we mentioned, like how many words it can fit. The more words that are in there, the less time it has to understand what's happening. We solve that by splitting tasks off into smaller task-focused, they call them sub-agents, which one might run on each file at a time. And when you do that, each sub-agent has that full 150,000 words to work with. So it takes longer, but...
So there could be, for example, a sub-agent, like one of the things that I use is called Super Claude, and you can look it up. And that makes it so that you can have, they have a tool called Spawn, and you use Claude code to trigger Super Claude Spawn, and Spawn then plans functionality, analyzes the existing functionality, identifies and implements where the code, like how the code will be added, writes tests, runs the tests, and like all this stuff happens at the same time, unless you say parallel, and then SuperCloud can break it into parallel agents and have all that stuff running in parallel if it's something that could be parallelized. Parallelized, that's a good word. So there's a lot to learn, Jack. And we're unfortunately out of time. All that we've talked about today, like you've talked about a GitHub repo. I'm going to share the link in the show notes, so anybody who's interested can check out WP Product Talk, find our episode deep diving into AI automation, and find your GitHub repos. Where should people start though? Like where should people start? What's your best advice?
I would say the most powerful tool now for beginners, Claude Desktop. I believe you can use it for free, but I think once you start using it, $200 a month will be very reasonable. And what was most powerful for me was, even if you don't have any integrations or any technical knowledge, just ask it, here's my name, Google what you know about me, and suggest how we can optimize you to help me work better. And it will come up with a detailed plan about the kind of data that it would like access to based on your web presence. and it will ask you if you'd like to create those integrations, and just spend an hour with it and say yes, no, I have some questions about that. And it will, like most of this stuff, Claude Desktop invented and then integrated for me, and then taught me how to use. So I didn't know how these model context protocol servers worked when I started. Claude just set it up for me.
Yeah, and mine is similar in the sense that, okay, so you're using ChatGPT right now. If you're not using ChatGPT, you probably should as well.
Yeah, everyone's using that one.
But like, okay, so open up Claude, like even Claude.ai, open up their website, chat with Claude about how to get Claude's desktop installed, or chat with Claude about how to get Claude Code installed. I ask each one of you who is listening, spend a day on this, just a day. Dedicate a day of your life to getting set up with something that does something for you, anything. And you will find that it is the entry point. It's the gateway drug to automation and AI optimization. You will find that everything that you're doing right now without AI feels antiquated, and it feels like yesterday's technology. Because my wife Juniper, she compared it to using an old candy bar phone versus getting the first iPhone. It unlocks a whole world of functionality in a way that didn't exist before. The old paradigm's gone.
And I think it's going to be more equivalent to the printing press, or maybe even the invention of the wheel.
Yeah, it's like going from monks in a castle transcribing the Bible to rocket science. Like,
yeah, everything changed.
Everything changes. So spend a day. You will thank yourself for getting set up.
Yep.
And don't give up, because if you keep on asking Claude how to do things, it'll keep on telling you how to do things. It is your best friend.
You don't have to be a developer. Daniel shared in our Slack. He connected it to his Gmail and asked it to go through all of his old newsletters, the ones he's never read, and unsubscribe to them. And it did that for like 40 different newsletters.
That terrifies me, and I will not do that.
The ones he hasn't opened in a while. Figured out when. But anyway, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd want to grant permission, but yeah, he wanted to get rid of them. And it proposed that as something it could help him with. So you don't have to be a developer. It now manages my shopping list. It reads my WhatsApps and sends me a text message every morning with a summary of everybody I need to get back to. When my mom emails me travel plans, it researches flights and sends me a summary. Everything that I do now is connected.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I haven't done enough yet. I look at Jack's progress in terms of setting up these systems, and I'm envious of all the work that he's put into it. I've put in some work. I haven't put in that much work. I, for example, want to have team calls and all the things we talk about on Slack, and all the, like, I want to have agendas automatically created based on the things that AI knows we need to talk about. These are things that can unlock my productivity as a manager, unlock the development team, the support team, the marketing team, unlock all of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my goal would be for all these tools that you can basically click a button and it will set it up for you. My solutions aren't going to be your solutions, but my hope would be that you get excited enough about it that you then get stuck in this flywheel of trying to improve it. What you discussed, so this messages me 30 minutes before every meeting on my Google Calendar, and it gets all the details. It uses all of these tools, FreeScout, Gmail, Apple Reminders, and it prepares all of these details, background information on the attendees, what I need to know about them, our previous meetings, if there are any notes, exactly what I should talk about in the meeting based on the subject of the meeting. So yeah, I've solved that one. It also adds reminders to my calendar, my reminders app, when to get ready, when to prep, when to do my hair. So yeah, that's ready to go. Yep.
That's awesome. And that's at your Claude Automation Hub at Very Good Plugins /Claude-Automation-Hub.
Yeah, and that's all public and open source. It requires a little bit of setup now, but again, my goal would be to create a nice looking visual tool where you can just click a button and it happens for you.
Right. And we have a question from the audience. Jack, are you using AI for product marketing? Asks Maria Ansari.
Yes. So actually, while we were on the show today, I I was taking screenshots for this episode for the GitHub, and I wanted to publish a blog post also. So while we've been talking, I asked Claude and Cursor to work on this blog post and use the screenshots that I'd already taken. And it looks like it's done. It copies my writing style by analyzing every blog post I've ever written on this site. And it does sound pretty much exactly like me. It uses emojis like me. And this looks like, yeah, this is a screenshot of, so it loaded up my browser while we were talking, went to the right page, minimized the admin, took the screenshot. I think there's accessibility text added. It's supposed to do that. Yes, accessibility text is there. So again, this all happened in the hour that we've been speaking. Yeah, it looks like a nice little blog post. We even have some things that went hilariously wrong with Claude. Yep, this is all stuff that happened. They read my GitHub and saw the loop that happened.
There was an infinite loop issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
This didn't hapen.
So it just made up something.
We did no, it did fix it and it didn't work, but it was not automatically deployed to customers. So don't worry. I'm going to review this after the call. But again, so multitasking has changed a lot. I'm working more than ever before, but I'm enjoying it because while I'm doing this or while I'm waiting for my new short film to render, which is another topic, it's publishing blog posts, publishing GitHub repositories, preparing my meeting notes, and then messaging me whenever it's done or needs some input.
And I often load up a big prompt before I stop work for the day and just keep it working on that. And I'm sure near future, there's going to be it's going to be constantly doing stuff in the background at all times. And that's a topic for another conversation, I think, is future of AI.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so many conversations.
Well, Jack, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you online?
Yes. So you can find me at on X at Very Good Plugins. Our main product is at wpfusion.com. And you can also find my personal website at verygoodplugins.com. That's where I'll be publishing all of these free code solutions. And I'm also starting a 12-week challenge where I create a free plugin or solution based on community requests and release it for free. And I'm using it to raise money for the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund to help kids in Gaza. So our goal is to raise $12,000 in 12 weeks from the open source community. So I'll be announcing that and publishing it probably tomorrow.
That's exciting. It's a great initiative. And thank you for coming on. And for those listening and watching, if you're enjoying these shows, please do us a favor, hit like, subscribe, share it with your friends, reference the show in your newsletters, and don't forget to tune in again next week. Bye.